2023 is over, so it is time to rank all 40 2023 movies that I saw this year, ranked from the worst to the best. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back to Geek City. A few things I want to mention before we get started. This is just my opinion, okay? We're going to disagree because some of my statements I will make in this video will make you mad, and that's what's fun about this. We're all going to be talking about the things we love and the things we hated about movies this year. Also, I did plan on watching more than 40 new releases. I just got really busy with family towards the end of the year. I was gonna watch Oppenheimer this week, and I had to see family, and then some other films. I was gonna watch Beau is Afraid, Rebel Moon, Mortal Kombat Legends, Cage Match, Sound of Freedom, and much more, but it just didn't happen. I just got busy, and also my script is right here. I will most likely be looking this direction sometimes. I'll try to, mainly look at the camera. Now, I don't know how long this video is gonna be, so it's time to begin. So, we're going to start off with my bottom 10. My dog is yapping. Great. Sorry about that. That was my dog. But first, I want to talk about, it's probably going to surprise you because most people have not had this on their worst, but I'll explain why. So, my number 40, the worst movie of 2023, in my opinion, was Justice League War World. Some of you have probably never heard of this movie. Unless you're following the geek world, you've probably never heard of this. This was probably not what most people expected, but just let me explain. I don't think it was actually like the worst plot-wise, but it was so disappointing that it became worse the more I thought about it. This is easily the most disappointing movie of 2023, which led to it over time becoming even more bad, and I decided to rewatch it just to make sure. I was like, is it actually this bad? And it was. So I've realized that it's gotta be in last place. DC could have done a way better job with a Justice League movie. There's so much you can do, so many iconic comic books you could base it off of, but they didn't do that. They decided to only put 3 members of the Justice League in this movie. Obviously, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They could have just called it Trinity War World. This could have been a Trinity movie. But when you title it Justice League, they knew if they titled it Justice League, people would watch this film and they would make more money. That's what they did, and the film was not good. I think just so many levels. If it was a Trinity movie, maybe it wouldn't be last. It still is not a good movie. It would still be bottom 10. But just the fact that DC knew this would work by pretty much lying to the audience and saying, this is a Justice League movie. It's not. The first hour of this movie is just plain old boring. It's episodic and it's pointless. There is no need for the Wonder Woman and Batman segment of this film. Maybe like the Superman one. But there's no reason for this. Basically, it's like an hour and 30 minutes. In the first hour are all 3 completely different segments. Wonder Woman in the Wild West, Batman as a caveman, and Superman, and I believe it's the 30s, not quite sure. And then in the final bit, they work it out. It's just, there's no need this. We deserved an actual Justice League animated film. But instead, they gave us what felt like an issue of a comic book. It feels like an episode of the Justice League TV show, that animated one that's really good. That's what this feels like. There kind of was something like this, like a time travel episode that they gave us. So it just kind of feels like that, but worse. I'm very disappointed. Next, we have one that a lot of people hated, but I don't think is top 10 on most people's list, but I'll explain. Number 39, I think. I don't know how many I saw this year. I think 40, 41, somewhere in that. It is Five Nights at Freddy's. This was an incredibly disappointing movie. This should have been rated R. It should have been. It should have been a creepy horror movie filled with jump scares and violence, but they decided to make it a PG-13 film. They wanted it to be a kids movie, and it just did not work. It didn't work. I get a lot of people who like FNAF are like kids. I'm not a big FNAF fan. I've played some of the games. I enjoy them. I'm not like a watching all these film theory videos and all that. I played the game. It's fun. I enjoy it. But I simply don't think this should have been a PG-13 film. I think I could have made a better FNAF movie than this. The animatronics are barely in it. It's not suspenseful. It's just a cheesy, generic horror movie. There's so much cheesy dialogue all throughout the film, and I don't understand why they couldn't make a legitimately good creepy film. I don't understand why they didn't do that. This next one is interesting because this is not a franchise that I love or anything, but whatever. It's Ladybug and Cat Noir, the movie. Another one that probably slipped over a lot of people's radar. I watched it because my sister loves this franchise. And I'm a big fan of origin stories, so I thought, okay, maybe this could be interesting. Although I don't really know much about the show. This could be a way to get me into the franchise. Maybe I'll become interested. There could have been something interesting here, but they decided to make it a musical. Why? Because the show's not. I've seen episodes of the show. I know what it's like. But I don't know why they decided to make this a musical. Why did they do that? There's not much to talk about here, because I think the film, number one, isn't very good. Anyway, I think that the film itself isn't good. Plus, they decided to make it a musical. And it just doesn't make sense. The rest of this franchise is not a musical, so why was this? Sorry, my Xbox was on for some reason. I don't understand why this needed to be musical. I'm gonna grab a carbonated beverage, because I don't know how long this will be, and I want to make sure I'm not getting all tired. I need some caffeine. Okay, so the next one is something I completely forgot about, and that's a bad sign. It's White Men Can't Jump. Yeah, they made a reboot, or they made a remake this year, starring, I think it's, Jack Harlow. I think it stars Jack Harlow, and this movie was, I completely forgot about it. There's only one thing I remember about it, and that it wasn't funny. That's all I really remember about it. That, and that it stars Jack Harlow. I don't know much about Jack Harlow. I haven't seen the original. I just watched this because I was bored. It was on Hulu, and it wasn't any good. I didn't find the movie funny, and I forgot almost everything about it, so that's not a good sign. And the next one's a shame, because Diary of a Wimpy Kid Christmas, the Christmas special, if this counts as a movie, and I don't understand why these Disney Plus Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies are just not good. The first two of them were not good, and so then they announced that they were going to be doing it based on the Cabin Fever book. I was glad, because they've just been remaking the books that we've already have way better films of, and so they didn't work, and so I was actually a little more excited, and they just simply aren't good. They cut a lot out of the book, and why are they not going in order? Why did they go 1, 2, and now doing 6? Why don't they just go 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth? And I don't understand why they're skipping around. But even with that, the film itself is just simply not good. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid franchise, take that original trilogy of Diary of a Wimpy Kid films. We're not talking about Long Haul. We're talking about the original 3. They're really good. They have a lot of heart to them. Even though Greg Heffley's not a great character, if you actually think about it, they're good movies. I don't understand why Disney can't watch those and go, let's take what worked. What did people like about those? They're not doing that, so that's the issue. Next up, we have maybe the most disappointing film of the year, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What happened? I love Indiana Jones. Not Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but those original 3 I really like. And I don't understand why, especially Disney, when they take franchises that have been on hold for a while and bring them back, I don't understand why they take these iconic characters and turn them into these old bums. I hate seeing characters that I love turn into these lame-os. These old, why can Indiana Jones be happy? It's not very fun, and also the girl that's with him is just downgrading him the whole film, and it just feels pretty distasteful. And I don't understand why they had to make him into some, a loser old man. They kind of did that with Han Solo in a way. And, I don't understand why they did that. I don't get it. because it's like there's a lot you can do with this. The opening scene is like 20 minutes, and it's very interesting because there's a lot of controversy around it because the whole AI making him look younger. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. But other than that, there's not much there. I didn't like it very much. Obviously, because it's in the bottom 10. Next up, we have another DC animated movie, Legion of Superheroes. This new DC Tomorrowverse that they're doing with like Man of Tomorrow, Long Halloween. Long Halloween's really good. Check those out. But this Tomorrowverse just frankly sucks. The DC AMU, the DC Animated Movie Universe, that ended in 2020, I believe, was really good. This one sucks. And also, check out the video I did about this Tomorrowverse a few months ago. I basically rant about how it's not working. I talk about the issues with it. And that's... sorry about that. That's kind of the issue. They're not good films. Again, Warner Brothers, listen to what the fans want. Like, this film, I don't think it's worse. But no, I think this one is worse than Warworld, but I wasn't as excited for this one, so it's not as down as Warworld, because I wasn't as excited for this one, so I wasn't as disappointed. There wasn't really any excitement. So I watched it just because, like, DC movie, I'll watch it. I try to watch them all when they come out, and it just wasn't very good. I wasn't interested. This next one is also one of probably my top 5 most disappointing movies. It's Evil Dead Rise. I love the Evil Dead franchise. I've done a ton of videos about it, and at first, when I watched it, I didn't hate it as much as I do now. But over time, I've started to not like this movie. I've started to notice more issues with it, and I just found it to not be very good. It doesn't have that raw, stuck in a cabin vibe to it that the first two and then the remake had. That's why I don't like Army of Darkness that much. Like, here's what I wanted. The remake that they did in 2010, that's incredible. Check it out if you haven't. It's probably my favorite Evil Dead. I don't remember which one was number 1 on my ranking, which, by the way, check that out. I was, in that ranking, I was much nicer to this movie. It was still in last place, but talking about, I still like it, my opinion on the film has gotten worse over time because I just simply don't think this needed to exist. I'm glad it did well because now we'll get more Evil Dead. Hopefully they stick to kind of what they were doing originally. It is interesting that it's like a mother trying to kill her kids because she's a deadite. That's interesting, but I just didn't enjoy the movie. My hair looks really greasy right now, even though I just put a lot of gel in it. Dang, okay. Does it look greasy? Comment down below. Okay, next up. This is a hot take, because a lot of people love this movie. This is D&D Honor Among Thieves. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, because a lot of people really, really like this movie, but I just simply did not. This is what it felt like to me. Dollar Tree MCU. That's what it felt like. It literally was, it just feels like a wannabe MCU movie. I just was not into this movie. It wasn't very funny either. That's also an issue, because there's a lot of jokes in this movie, and none of them really landed. It should have been darker. Like, I think something like Lord of the Rings, because that's kind of what Dungeons and Dragons is. So, take like a Lord of the Rings style approach to D&D, and I think that could work. I think that's something you can work with. It's not a Guardians of the Galaxy with dragons movie. That's what this felt like. That's what it was trying to be. A group of misfits having to come together and all that. That's what that felt like. That's pretty much it. Finally, for the bottom 10, we have Shotgun Wedding. This was not one I wasn't incredibly excited for this movie. I just found it, I watched it because my mom enjoyed it. She said I should check it out. And I just found it to be meh. Some of the action, it was okay, but I didn't find this film to be very fun. This should have been better. I feel like there wasn't really many excuses. This could have been Die Hard as a wedding. It should have been much more fun. I didn't find the jokes very funny, and the action was okay. But, again, I wasn't incredibly excited, so I don't think it hurts my thoughts on it as much. So, we've now finished the bottom 10. And these next few films are in the 30s, are kind of just either meh or okay. We've talked about the bad ones. This first one, number 39. No. Okay. This is like the meh 29. Yeah. This is kind of like the meh category, I think. This film should have been way better. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This film was supposed to like set up the big bad of the MCU, Kang. And yet Kang, the big villain, gets defeated by Ant-Man. And the whole film looks like a big blue bubble. Like, because the CGI is not good. And so this whole film looks like a big CGI blob. Especially the MODOK scenes, because those look awful. And I'm not surprised at this point, the MCU, with their CGI and everything. This film is now pretty much pointless anyways, because, you know, Kang is now not going to be part of the MCU. So this film is no longer actually needed. So now it feels like there's not even a point to rewatching it, because it's not important. Kang is gone. So this next film, it's not bad. But so like I guess for what it's trying to be, it's fine. I didn't even know if I should include it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We've got Lego Marvel Avengers Code Red. It's a fun enough Lego adventure, but I'm not like the target audience. I think it's doing its job just fine, and that's all. It's cool to see Lego Wolverine in a film, but overall a good enough Lego film. I'll probably never watch it again, and I'll probably forget about it. You know, whatever. Another kid film, we got Merry Little Batman. This one, the biggest issue is, well, there's two things. Number one, it's way too long. Second one, the animation, I don't like it. I think it's so weird. It's like style that they went for. Not a fan. And again, it's way too long. Should have been like 30 minutes. Maybe 40, maybe. But it's 90 minutes long, which is just way too much. It's fine. It's good enough. I'm never gonna watch it again, most likely. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. There's not much to talk about with that film. I just think it was way too long. The animation, not very pleasing. So, this next one is one I didn't know I would watch, but it's Missing. This is a sequel to Searching, which I really enjoyed. And this one, well, no, Searching I thought was a great movie. This one was not. It was okay. And I think the main issue, it's not about the plot that's the issue. I don't know what it was, but this one I just could not get into. Like this one, I just found Searching to be a much better movie. And I feel like there was a lot more suspense in that one. But I do actually hope they continue the series. Like, I hope this one did well. I don't know for sure. Because the whole plot about both of these movies take place on, like, a desktop computer is interesting. So if they continue the franchise, just maybe make a better film. Maybe the next one could be called, Googling, or something like that. I don't know for sure. Or, maybe, Finding, Disappearing. I don't know, but I'm sure they can think of something. This is another one I don't feel great about including. It's Spider-Man Lotus. This is a fan film that got a lot of very controversial. Everyone saw the trailer and was blown away because it looked really good for a fan film. And then there was a ton of accusations that came out, so the film got delayed because of some stuff about the lead actor and I think the director, just saying some pretty messed up stuff. And so, again, this is a fan film, so I didn't know if I'd count it, but people have been reviewing it and shredding it apart, so I'm like, okay, well then I guess I'll include it. I mean, people have been including stuff like Blood and Honey, so I guess, yeah, I can count this. I'm going to talk about it. For a fan film, I think it's pretty good. Like, the suit looks great. I actually really like this suit. But it's not great. I mean, compared to Spider-Man films, it's nothing. But it's a fan film. It's a fan movie. It's not going to be great. I've seen, I think, one. I watch, sometimes I'll check out fan films just to kind of see what people do. And this one was not anything great. I'm not going to rip into it because it's a fan movie. It's a fan film. Some people have just been talking like terrible about this movie, and I'm like, okay, it was made by fans, and a lot of people are doing it like what they did with the Flash, hating on it because of the actors and stuff involved, and I don't think that's not fair. I'm not gonna hate on a movie just because the people involved with the film. I'm just gonna watch the movie, talk about how I feel about it. Thought it was okay. Speaking of okay and mediocre and something that should have been way better, Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. This has not been a good year for animated DC films. This one's pretty forgetful. It's generic. These superhero animated movies. It's a forgetful generic animated DC movie. There's a lot of them like this, and a lot of great ones. They're very hit or miss. That's what I thought of it. I'm not even a huge fan of the comic this is based on. Like, the Doom That Came to Gotham comic isn't really great, in my opinion. So the movie was nothing special. Obviously, again, I'm going to check it out. It's a DC animated film. I watch them all when they come out, whether I like them or not. Some of these DC animated films are not good. And same for Marvel, but Marvel doesn't really do a lot of these. But this one I've forgotten a lot about it because it's nothing really special. It's just another one of these animated films. But yeah, another disappointing movie, Renfield. This concept, it's really fun about, the concept. Renfield, the, henchman of Dracula. This should have been a fun, dark comedy, and in some ways, it is. Like, Nicolas Cage is a pretty good Dracula, I think. He was really fun, but I was still disappointed. I don't understand the whole Aquafina subplot, like all the cops and all that. I don't think it needed to be there. I think it should have just been about Renfield. But, I had some fun. I think that Nicolas Cage, again, was a lot of fun, but it should have been way better. Next one, I guess, there was a lot of disappointing movies this year. A lot of great ones, we'll talk about later. Like, there were a lot of great movies this year, and then some of them disappointing. This next one, Blue Beetle. I found this one to be, a bit boring. It feels like Spider-Man and Iron Man movies had a baby, and that's what it feels like. While I am happy that Zolo Mardu... I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna say Zolo. I really like this dude in Cobra Kai, and so I'm happy that he got a big role, and I hope that he continues to get more big roles in the future and starts to get more recognized, because I really like him. But the film itself was pretty forgetful. Nothing crazy. Just another, fun enough. It's fun enough. It's fine. It can be a little boring. It's pretty forgetful, but it's good enough. I'm glad Blue Beetle's finally gotten his first film. The suit looks really cool. I really like the suit. Coming up next, we have The Last Voyage of the Demeter, a solid horror movie about Dracula on a boat. I like the cast. I like the kills, and overall, it's pretty decent. It's okay. We're now in the category of okay, not bad. It's nothing crazy. I enjoyed it. I did like it, but it's not much. There's not much to talk about. I feel like it gets a little forgetful. That's how I feel about it. It's good enough. Solid horror movie. Not scary, but it is fine. This is a bit of a hot take. This is another one a lot of people really liked. I don't like very much. It is Super Mario Brothers. I'm not a big fan of this movie. Most people love this. This is very high, one of the highest grossing movies of the year, I think. But now I think the animation is incredible. I hope this film gets nominated for Best Animated Feature because it looks really good. I really, really like the animation style. It does look really good. And the voice acting is also really good as well. Like, Jack Black was really good. Now, Chris Pratt, there's a lot of controversy about that. I think he did a good enough job. That's fine. But I think the story was not good enough. They decided to not do Mario saving Peach. They kind of did it, but it was more about saving Luigi. I just found it to be kind of lackluster. It's called the Super Mario Brothers, and yet Luigi's barely in it, honestly. He's just, captured almost the whole movie. So it's not really a Super Mario Brothers. It should have just been called the Super Mario movie. But whatever. So now we are in the top 20. These next few films are ones that are either good or pretty good. We're starting to get to the good films. So let's begin with number 20. We got the Transformers Rise of the Beast. I really like Transformers, even though the movies are very hit or miss. And I believe this is the same continuity as the Blue Beetle film, which I really liked. And I think this plot is good enough. Better than most of the Michael Bay movies. I like the first Michael Bay movies, but the other ones are fun action, but not very good. But this film, the action's not as good because Michael Bay is very good at action. So this one just feels very lackluster. Just feels like more of the same. It was fun. I liked it. Next up, Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. This felt like a very, 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 very generic sequel. Kind of forgetful, nothing crazy. It just felt like strong people punching each other. Like, the performances were fun, but again, nothing crazy. Pretty basic superhero comic book movie. This is basic. I think the first one was way better. But I mean, I still had a lot of fun with this one, but it's nothing original. Like, I think if this came out a few years ago, then I think it would be, like, better received. But at this point, with the amount of comic book movies we have, yeah, you need to do something original and creative and a little more interesting. This one just simply was not that. I think if it was, like, a comic book mini-series that they did, then it would work. But for a feature-length film, it's nothing. Next, we got another DC movie, Aquaman 2. I do not think it was as good as the first one, but I still think it was pretty fun. I like the action, and I think it looks beautiful. It's like the James Wan visuals. And I mean, it had a lot of funny moments. I think this movie was hurt by it being the last film of the DCAU. It's the last DCAU, so everyone was expecting something crazy, but like it just simply wasn't that. So I think if it wasn't the last film, and we actually had to see the conclusion of the DCAU, then I don't think it'd be hurt as bad. But everybody's like, oh, this is the last thing we get? That's not the film's fault, so I'm not going to blame that. Next one is another one that a lot of people love and say is the best horror film of 2023. It's Megan. I disagree. I don't think it's the best. I think it's pretty good, but it's nothing incredible in my opinion. Again, we're in the category now of good to really good movies. I think this is a pretty good movie. I like it. But I think it would have been better if it was rated R. I think if it was rated R and they went more with the violence, I don't understand why they made it PG-13. So I just felt like there wasn't enough tension. We don't see how crazy this doll is because we don't see the actual violence. Usually it cuts away, it's just not violent. It should have been rated R, I think, instead of us having a director's cut or like non-rated cut, whatever it is. But I still think it's a pretty cool Chucky movie for the modern day. That's what it felt like to me, and I think it worked. Better than the Child's Play remake. That's kind of what this was, but better. Next up, we've got Stanley. This is a Disney Plus original documentary that I'm sure nobody saw. I liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty good, showing like the backstory of this comic book legend. It was surprising, and I liked it, and I think it does a good job really deep diving into him creating a lot of these iconic Marvel characters. So I overall thought it was quite good. I actually really liked it. Next up, a film that almost no one saw, but everyone who has seen it is putting it like top tier. I liked it. It's not my inherent type of film, but I still really, really liked it. Again, we're at the point now, these are all great movies. This is Air. This is a Matt Damon, Ben Affleck biopic about the creation of the Air Jordans. An underdog story, I think that's what it says. And I think they did a good job with this film because I went into it not caring about the premise. I just saw it because, I wanted to see what they could do, and I like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, so I was gonna watch it, and it was surprisingly very good. I was quite intrigued, and I liked a lot of the performances in this film. I hope it gets some Oscar nominations because not a lot of people saw it. I don't think it did very well. I think it made like $10 million back because the budget I think was $80 million. I think this film made $90 million, which is not bad. I think that's the budget. I'm not quite sure. But I don't think this film did very good. This next one, I don't know if it counts. I'd say it's more of a special, but I'm going to include it anyway. It is the Invincible presents Adam Eve special. I can't believe I have this above Air. That kind of shows you where I land on films. I'm a geek, so I prefer geekier stuff, usually. This was a little prequel to the Invincible show, and it was pretty good. It's like a direct translation of the comic book. My one issue is that the dialogue could sometimes be a little cheesy. Some lines were like kind of goofy, but that didn't bother me very much because I still really enjoyed it, and that doesn't bother me very much. Just wanted to put that out there. Okay, last year, a lot of films from last year in my top 10 were not comic book films. I don't want you guys to think, okay, He has air behind yada yada yada. That's just kind of how it worked this year. Last year, my top 10 was like Elvis, Top Gun Maverick, The Fablemans. Obviously, he had like the Batman, but like last year, this year, it just happened to be like I enjoyed the comic book movies a lot more, I think, or some of them. This next one was a big surprise. This is probably one of my most surprising films of the year, and that's Wonka. I didn't expect to like this movie very much. I don't think we didn't need a Willy Wonka prequel, but I really enjoyed it. I think it was a fun movie. I'm not like the biggest Willy Wonka guy, but I liked the songs, and I think Timothée Chalamet did a really good job playing Wonka. I didn't know he could sing either. The cast was a lot of fun, and the whole like heist thing towards the end was pretty fun. I do think it gets a little cheesy towards the end with the whole like chocolate pit that they almost die in, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was much more fun, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Next up, Murder Mystery 2. This one, I don't think was as good as the first one. I still really enjoyed it. Pretty high up there. I think top 20. But it wasn't really my issue. It wasn't really a murder mystery. It felt much more like a heist. It was much more about the action. It was much more of an action movie. I still really enjoyed it. The cast is great. It's funny. But I think the first one was better. This one could have been like a new original film instead of being a murder mystery film. Because this is not about solving the murder. There's a murder, obviously, but it's much more about Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston rescuing their friend than solving the murder. It's much more about that. And again, I had a lot of fun, but I still don't think it was as good as the first one, honestly. I don't think it was as good as it could have been. I think it could have been better. Next up, one of the biggest box office successes of the year, if not the biggest, I think, maybe, Barbie. The first time I watched this, I thought it was okay. I did a review on it, check it out if you want to, but overall, I have slowly liked it a lot more. The Ken movement has gotten to me. I am Kenuff. Ryan Gosling is the standout for me. He's hilarious. Margot Robbie's great, and she looks super fine as always. I don't know why I said that, but there's a lot of jokes I like, but I still think the issue is the message becomes preachy. They had a good message. It's not the actual message that's the issue. It's just how they delivered it. Because basically by the end of the film, they're just having monologues being said. I think whether I agree with the message or not, if the writer just has a character just give a big speech about the message preaching it, then it's not very good. There are ways you can have a writer can include a message without it just being a preaching thing. I think no matter what, whether I agree or disagree with the message, you have to find some way to include it without it just being, no, I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about the message of the film that the writers want to say to the audience. That's what it felt like to me. But I still had a lot of fun. Man, we are now in the top 10. You guys are going to disagree with me, these final 10, but that, again, this is all for fun. This most likely will change. If I did this a week later, it would probably change. This year I had a hard time kind of deciding on my top 10. Again, last year was much easier. I was going to actually do a video. I don't know what happened to it, but I had a script. It was like, I didn't struggle figuring it out. But coming in at number 10, we have Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. At first, I was not really excited for this film. I love the Hunger Games films, but I was just like, I don't need to watch this. I read the book, it was okay. And then I rewatched the first two and decided I was going to watch this one. So I watched it on Amazon, and it was quite good. I like seeing the transformation of Snow and how he turns into this terrible dude who will kill his best friend for him. I really did like this film. And the more I think about it, the more I think I like it. Like, originally, it would probably be top 20, but I think it slowly worked its way up to 10. Yeah. A pretty good film. A lot of performances are also really good. Even if people don't like it. A lot of people hate Rachel Zegler because of the whole Snow White thing, which I kind of agree with. I don't think you should trash a classic like that. But she did do pretty good in this film. So I think it's probably my second favorite Hunger Games film. Probably doesn't top Catching Fire, but not much does. When it comes to Hunger Games, it's not, yeah. Alright, so number 9, Thanksgiving. I heard a lot of great things about this film, and so I watched it, and I loved it. I love brutal horror films, and this is that. It is brutal, the kills in this film. And the characters are very interesting, and I really like, I love the kills in the characters to me. I love character-driven stories. So although it's a horror film, it does have interesting characters, and I loved it. I had so much fun with this film. We have a ton of Christmas and Halloween horror movies, but Thanksgiving does not get a lot. Don't mention Thanksgiving, because those movies suck. This film was a lot of fun. The standout was like the kills because of how great they are, how they use like Thanksgiving props to kill people. So yeah, I mean, I will say there's a lot of teenage angst that can get a little cheesy, but I can ignore that because it was a lot of fun. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but that's fine. I'm realizing now that there's a lot of horror films in the top 10 here because number 8 we have Totally Killer. The pitch basically is the basic pitch. Back to the Future meets Scream. Sounds fun, and it really was. There's a lot of fun, and I really, again, another film where I really like the characters, and it was, yeah, a very fun film. And it's cool to see the younger version of, like, we see the present day characters and them in the past and how different they are, and how our lead, their changes, how that affects the present. And it was a lot of fun, and it's a lot of people feel like this film woke. I don't really mention that word a lot on the channel because I'm avoiding politics because it's not what I talk about, but I don't think this film was woke. I feel like it was kind of picky on both sides of it because, like, our main character gets worked up over a lot of stuff that's, like, not that big of a deal, but then you also have some stuff that's making fun of, I think it's just making fun of all the generations, so that's not an issue for me. The reveal, I will say, was a bit obvious. It was very obvious, actually. I saw it right away who the killer was, but other than that, I had a lot of fun. This is very much I enjoyed this film a lot, even with obviously knowing who the killer was. I mean, that was no surprise at all. Number 7, I think one of the only non-comic book or horror films of the year that's in my top 10. The rest of this is pretty much horror and comic book films. Maybe I should have put this film high. Oh, Ballad of Somber Snake. Okay. Maybe I should have put this one a little higher just because of that, but it's Asteroid City. A lot of people didn't talk about this film. I think it got overlooked by Oppenheimer because they came out around the same time, but I don't watch a lot of Wes Anderson films, but I really, really love this one. The cast is incredible. Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson. That's not even that, like, there's a ton of people in this film. My wife Margot Robbie's in it for like a scene, but that's fine. There's like Jeffrey Wright. I mean, the cast is enormous for this film. I'm forgetting how many people are in this film that I know because there's a lot. The direction, the style of the movie is really good, and the way it switches from colors to black and white, because the whole film, when it's in color, it's the play and then showing what's happening backstage. Edward Norton's also in it. Again, I'm just trying to name people that come to my head because there's a lot of people that I know about in this film because the cast is huge. That's what makes me like this film. Maybe I should have put this like top 5, maybe just because, like, I don't know. But I don't know. It's fine. Yeah, okay. I think this, okay. Number 6, a very controversial film, The Flash. Everyone, and I mean pretty much everybody, loves to hate on this movie. People find anything to hate about. I get why people want to hate on this film because of Ezra Miller. But I overlooked that. I think it's a really good movie. The whole plot is pretty sad, revolving around the death of Barry Allen's mother and how he wants to change that. And I think it's a really good film. And I really did like it. Now, CGI is god-awful. It's atrocious. But if you can I overlook that because I care about the plot and characters. That's my type of story. So CGI, that's why I'm not a big Avatar fan. CGI is great, but the actual films themselves are okay. So that's how I look at it. So CGI kind of comes second. It's great to see Michael Keaton and General Zod again. Michael Turner, and this is the last time that we got to see Ben Affleck. So that was a little sad to see him go, but I really liked it, even if a lot of people did not. Yeah. So number 5, another horror film. Again, this top 10 was pretty much all comic book movies and horror films, and then 2 non of that. So that just kind of happened. That was not intentional. Number 5, Talk to Me. A horror movie I did not expect to like very much. I saw it on Halloween night, but oh my god. Now, it starts off slow. And I don't want to spoil what happened, but it gets brutal. There is some stuff, I'm not gonna say who, but a dude, slams his head into a table and, literally tries to, grab his eye, and, it's very brutal. There's not a lot of scenes that are brutal, but these scenes are so brutal that's how great it is. I loved it. I love Grain. You see the lead start to slowly fall apart, and the ending is really good because you don't really know what happens. And it's very, very A24-y. You can tell they made this film because it has the A24 vibes to it, and it's very Australian as well. And it was made by YouTubers, I think. So that shows that some YouTubers are actually talented when it comes to Hollywood and film and stuff. Some, not all of them. But yeah, I really, really, really like this one. It was a big surprise. Another one of those films that really surprised me. Next one. Number 4. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mutant Mayhem. Seth Rogen gave us an actual, teenage Ninja Turtle film. The animation is great because it has, this Spider-Verse vibe, but it looks hand-drawn, like the Doodles type thing. And the voice acting is really good. And it feels like a comic book movie. And we'll get to another film that feels like that, and I'm sure you can already tell what that is. It feels like every other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film is not good at covering the teenage aspect of the characters. Our lead group of teenage turtles do not feel like teenagers in almost every adaptation ever. But this one actually does. They are played by actual kids, and they feel like actual kids. That makes it much better than it already is. And I'm glad, I hope we get a sequel. I'm sure we will. This film did really good. It did very well. So I'm sure we'll get a sequel. They're setting up Shredder. Very excited about that. Number 3, I'm a little biased when it comes to this. This is why it's so high. But number 3, Scream 6. I'm a huge horror fan. So obviously I love the Scream franchise. And this one feels so much different than the other ones. We have, this is the only Scream film in New York. So it has, a different vibe than the other films already. And you can tell it's different even from the opening scene. And they managed to make, a good Scream film without Neve Campbell, which was surprising. And the core 4, all those guys, those 4, did a great job carrying the movie by themselves. And it's a shame that we're probably, most likely, almost definitely never going to see these characters again. Because of Spyglass, and their utterly stupid decisions that they're making. So yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna see these characters again, which is a shame because Scream 5 and 6, these characters that have made it so far, I really, really like them. I don't even know what they're doing with Scream 7. I don't know what's gonna happen, but whatever. My one issue, or my big issue, is that a ton of characters get gutted, brutally stabbed multiple times. I'm not gonna say who, in case you haven't seen the film, but a lot of people should have died in this film. But a lot of characters would not survive what they went through. But it's a horror film that happens a lot. So that's not a big deal to me. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. A wonderful, wonderful send-off to the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. James Gunn has always been so good with handling characters, and especially odd characters, and this proves it. I love James Gunn and what he's able to do, whether it's the Suicide Squad or these Guardians films. This is a very emotional movie by showing the terrible things that Rocket has been through in his life, and that makes me like that character even more. But even without that, it's great. It's so good, and this film is so emotional. And honestly, I think it's the only good MCU movie we got this year. What else we got? We got Ant-Man, The Marvels, which I have not seen yet. Not really. I'll see it when it comes out streaming. Got some series, but yeah, nothing good this year other than this. This just proves why I love James Gunn and why I, unlike a lot of people, for some reason, I am very excited to see what he's cooking up with this DC universe. I think it's gonna be great, but we'll see. But number 1. The best film of the year, for me, I'm sure most of you, if you actually watch my channel and know what I'm into, you can already tell what this is. It's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. What can I say about this film that has not been said? This movie really does actually feel like a comic book. And it's just it's a celebration of Spider-Man, and especially with like the inclusion of canon events. I am so excited to see part 2 of this film. Hopefully it's really good. Because if it's not, then I think that hurts this film. I'm not going to talk too much about this because everyone has seen this film, and I've talked about it a lot on... Go check out my spoiler review if you want to. It's really good, in my opinion. But this film is, yeah, incredible. I think the more I've rewatched this film, because I rewatched it a lot, the more I like it. So, like, at first, it was going to be top 10, guaranteed. But now, I'd say it's my favorite of this year. And I loved the first one, but this one's tops that, which was very hard to beat. And as a huge Spider-Man fan, both from the comics and films, this is a great tribute to that character and the lore of Spider-Man. And, yeah, this is easily one of my favorite comic book films. Eventually, I'm planning on doing a video about my top 10 comic book films, Marvel, DC, Independent, whatever it is. I might do that one day. I'll probably do that. So, 45 minutes alone, minus the intro and all that. I hope you guys enjoyed this ranking. This took a while. Let me know your favorite and least favorite movies of this year. You don't have to rank them all, because I'm sure you saw a lot. I don't know. I'm not going to ask you to rank all the films you saw unless you didn't see that many. But thank you all for watching. If you actually watched the whole video, thank you so much. That's awesome. If you did that, thank you so much. That means a lot. And, as always, stay geeky.